Hello, I'm Paul Wasserman for Yale All Access, and I'm here today in the trophy room at the Ray Tompkins house, and I have the pleasure of being joined by freshman phenom Conrad Oberbeck. Conrad, thanks for coming today.
Yeah, great to be here.
You came in to Yale this year as a freshman. Last year, you went to school at Brunswick Academy, Greenwich, Connecticut. You came in as one of the most highly touted seniors in all of America. Talk about a little bit the transition coming from a high school, being a highly touted recruit, and now playing college ball. What's that like?
Well, definitely the speed of the game has it's way faster. I definitely say that's the first step, just adjusting to just how fast things move. You know, at first it's like things are just happening like too fast. You just gotta slow it down. And then definitely the atmosphere and the intensity. You know, like I've never had a sideline, played for a sideline like people jumping up and down and like going nuts and cheering. And then definitely the team atmosphere. Like in high school, you know, you always were buddies with your teammates, but it wasn't a real like team. Like here, like they're my best friends. Like I go, like that's who I hang out socially with, and so it's just a great environment. Everything is just so much different in a good way.
And how, you mentioned the team and them welcoming you on the team. How has that been as a freshman and with other freshmen? How have the upperclassmen been in welcoming you not only to the social aspect of the team and welcoming you to Yale, but also, you know, on the field? What have they been like to make you a part of the team?
Well, yeah, they definitely just welcomed us in right away. You know, they're very, very nice guys, very welcoming, and they really strike a good balance between, you know, having fun and really enjoying the game. You know, so practices we really enjoy it, but then they know, and you know, we got to buckle down, we got to be serious, we got to get ready for a game. So like Thursday, Friday practices, you know, like all right, like we got to get focused. So they really strike a good balance, and they really let us know like what to expect, and so they're really good leaders in that respect.
And talking about the game situations, you're only a freshman, and you've been in a number of high-pressure games and situations. Notably, you guys went up to Ithaca, New York to play the Cornell Big Red. They were ranked third in the nation at the time. What goes through your mind playing what's obviously the biggest game of your career against the best team of your career? What goes in, you know, leading up in the week leading up to that, and the game itself? How do you stay so calm, and how do you end up with 2 goals against a team like that?
Well, I just try to keep things simple, you know, and just rally around my teammates. Everybody is just so focused, you know, it's hard not to be so focused in an atmosphere like that. And, you know, when I'm out on the field, I'm trying not to think, you know, like such an intense situation, 8-7, you know, almost coming back. It's just, you know, play lacrosse, been doing this for my whole life, you know, so just work on each little play, execute the details. And then I got Brandon Mangan and Matt Gibson out there who are good leaders, and, you know, they really help me along, so it's not like I'm out there alone.
What is a game against Cornell and followed up with a 5 overtime loss to Princeton the next weekend? What does that do for your mentality, but also the mentality of the team, and how do you guys try to build on those 2 losses for the rest of the season?
Well, at first it lets us know like we're right there. I mean, there are no moral victories, people say, but you know we're right that tipping point. But what we really need to do is just buckle down, work harder. You know, there are a few breaks in those games, but they're obviously not excuses. So it's just pushing us to work that much harder. You know, and we got a big one coming against Penn this Saturday. And that's we're hopefully trying to bounce back at that game and, you know, make a difference and turn our season around, because we're sitting at 2-4 right now.
Looking a little bit in the future, where do you see this Bulldog program headed in the next 3 years? You know, by the time you graduate in 2015, and what's necessary to get to the next step to make it to the NCAA tournament to reclaim the Ivy League title?
Well, I think we still got to keep our mentality is great. I think that's one of the best things this team has. You know, just work hard, grit it out, and, you know, just grind, be tougher than all the other teams we face. And just it's not really something we need to change. It's just, you know, that mentality of keeping consistent. You know, because we've been so close in all these games. If we can just, you know, win those 1-goal games instead of lose those 1-goal games, I think our season would change so rapidly without like us changing anything.
Well, great, Conrad. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy practice schedule to sit down with us. Yeah. And good luck on the rest of your season.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I'm Paul Wasserman, and that was Conrad Oberbeck. You're watching Yale All Access.